So that I want to try and focus the show on like positive things we can do, like start creating some momentum. The gender criticals in the UK have a lot of momentum. The anti-trans extremists in the US have an insane amount of momentum at the moment. But that doesn't mean they're going to win. That doesn't mean they're going to destroy all trans people. That doesn't mean they'll have momentum forever. It doesn't mean we can't have momentum. Once we start getting momentum, they will start losing momentum because they are fueled by our suffering. And as we stop suffering, they will start panicking, which is another bonus of doing stuff. So another thing that I would like to do, and I've been hoping someone else would do for a while, and maybe they have, and if they have, please link me to it, and I want to know about it. But this is a good example of something we like. Well, I'm not necessarily good at this, but maybe I'll just start it, and other people will like pick it up. What I would ideally like is some kind of fact check website like Snopes or one of those kinds of things, specifically for trans rights. One where you can be like, oh, they're talking about, because sometimes it's like, you know, someone will say, oh, sex is just chromosomes, and that's such a common thing, and it's quite an easy debunk because you're like, well, here's an example of a cis person with the opposite chromosomes to what you'd think. But sometimes there are these really specific things where, like, you know, someone will be like, J.K. Rowling said that 80% of trans people detransition if you don't give them healthcare, and you're like, oh god, I know this is wrong. I mean, it's obviously wrong because J.K. Rowling said it. She's an idiot and a liar and an extremist. But you might be like, I don't remember what the specific debunk was. It'd be great if there was somewhere you could go, which is like, oh, here's the debunk of this argument. This is a common argument. This is where it comes from. This is the paper, the two papers it's based on. This is the debunk of the papers. You know, almost like Wikipedia, but for trans arguments. Like, it'd be great if it was like a community project. Yeah, Erin in the morning. So Erin is another person who is absolutely great. If you don't know Erin in the morning, so it's Erin, Erin in the morning. You should definitely Google her, check her out. Is very US focused, which is great. Like, I'm kind of UK focused. She does touch on the UK and other countries, just like I do. I think that activism is her full-time job, which is amazing. So you should go and subscribe and support her if you can financially. I guess the disclaimer on that is she's also someone who I'd probably call a friend that she might not call me a friend back. I didn't get invited to her wedding. She recently got married, and it looked really amazing. I'm not begrudging that, by the way. We've talked a bit. She came on Transatlantic a couple of times. She seems like a great person, but I don't know her that well. We've just talked a bit. Oh, cat break. Poppy's still alive and kicking and doing great. She's getting older and grumpier by the day, but she's very happy. Though this morning we had another cat in the house because I got one of them special cat flaps where you can only enter if you have the chip, and it had ran out of batteries and I didn't realise. I just walked downstairs and I was like, you're not Poppy. But yeah, Poppy's happy and doing great. Anyway, yeah, me and Erin on, like, she's not sponsoring me. I don't think I pay for her thing. I can't remember. Sorry, Erin, if I don't. But Erin is great, and you should subscribe to Erin in the morning and follow Trans News. And yes, she does do this kind of thing that I'm talking about, where we want to compile sources. But I think it'd be great to have it as like a more community contribution thing with some kind of, you know, like volunteer editors and that kind of stuff. But I do think that's quite a big project. That would be great to do if people can contribute to it. And maybe that's something I want to move towards. But I do think the first step, and a much easier thing to do, would be to have some kind of just list of all of the research and articles which we can use to back up our arguments. Because sometimes you're like, oh, what's that paper? Pardon me. Sometimes we're like, oh, what's that paper where it shows that, you know, it's a meta-analysis of 5,000 studies and it shows that the detransition rate is 0.5%. That's kind of hard to find unless you know how to search for papers. But if it was just on a list somewhere, that would be great. And I know I've seen some other streamers have like lists of research articles, but usually they're not trans people themselves and they don't really keep them up to date and they can't be bothered. So maybe a good start would be that. So that's what I'm going to try and move towards first. In fact, an example of this is when I want to give someone, sometimes people are like, can you give me a bunch of research on trans people? I go for, let me just see if I can find this in real time. It's fine, doesn't need to be professional, I can edit it out. I usually type a comprehensive defense of trans people. Reddit. This is the only time I ever go on Reddit, is to click on this one. This is by Musicotic. I don't know. It's from 7 years ago. So it's obviously very out of date. But they wrote this. And there's a huge amount of, like, you know, each one of these is a paper. And there are a crazy amount of them. And there are so many of them, so much detail on this, that it's continued in the comments. This is a resource that I actually rely on, that someone spent a crazy amount of time on. I don't know if they've done a more advanced one. I don't know if they've updated it. I don't know who this person is. This may be one day deleted and then I wouldn't have backed it up. But, you know, some of our resources are very spread out. I think this is decent. And this is the kind of thing it would be great to have in a more solid location that's not like a Reddit post. Like, I don't want to steal their work, but I feel like they posted it publicly, so they probably want people out there knowing it. But yeah, this is the kind of thing we should be able to build on this and add more to it. So that's what I'm going to be thinking about for the next couple of weeks. If you've got any ideas on how to do that, send me a message on not Twitter, ideally Blue Sky DMs. You can also send me an email at katie.montgomery at, I guess I need to interrupt this just so algorithms don't pick it up. I don't know, Gmail, that one. Maybe I shouldn't even say that. That's my public email address. I'm sure it's fine. It's on my website. You can go on my website and click on the little box there. But anyway, if you have some ideas for this, let's do this as like a step one towards creating a general debunk site. Because I think that's the kind of thing I'm good at. Arguments. And collecting data is the first stage for writing arguments. And maybe you've already done this. Maybe you know someone who's already done it. Let's not try and reinvent the wheel.